The last real conversation I had with my father before cancer hollowed him into someone quieter happened in his garage while rain hammered the roof hard enough to drown awkward silences. He stood beside his old tool bench sorting screws into plastic containers with trembling hands already weakened by chemotherapy. "You need to try harder with Diane," he said without looking directly at me. There it was again. The same request repeated for 12 years. Try harder. Be kinder. Stop making things difficult. My name is Caroline Hayes, and for most of my adult life, I played the role of jealous daughter in a story my stepmother carefully authored for anyone willing to listen. According to Diane, I resented her because she married my father after my mother died. I couldn't move on. I wanted Dad trapped in grief forever. It was clean. Understandable. Easy for people to believe because emotionally mature women aren't supposed to struggle with stepfamily dynamics once they reach adulthood. Especially not when the stepmother smiles warmly in public and hosts perfect Thanksgiving dinners. But the truth was messier. I didn't hate Diane because she replaced my mother. I hated her because she slowly erased evidence my mother ever existed in that house at all. My mother, Eleanor Hayes, died from a brain aneurysm when I was 14 years old. One normal Tuesday morning she kissed my forehead before school. By sunset she was gone. Sudden death leaves strange emotional wreckage because nobody gets time preparing psychologically. One day your family exists. The next day every object inside your house feels haunted. Dad collapsed after Mom died. Truly collapsed. Couldn't cook. Couldn't sleep. Wandered rooms at night touching her books and clothes like physical memory might resurrect her somehow. For 2 years it was just us surviving together awkwardly through grief. Burnt dinners. Forgotten laundry. Silent car rides. But underneath the sadness lived something solid too. Loyalty maybe. Shared loss. Then Diane arrived. She worked in hospital administration where Dad received physical therapy after a back injury. Blonde. Polished. 10 years younger than him. The type of woman who decorated with scented candles and called everyone sweetheart. Dad smiled more around her. Started shaving regularly again. For a while, I genuinely tried welcoming that. I was 16. I wanted him happy. But Diane entered our lives like a renovation project disguised as healing. First small things disappeared. Mom's handmade quilts boxed into attic storage because they clashed with the new furniture. Family photographs replaced by abstract art. Mom's gardening books donated quietly during spring cleaning. Every change sounded reasonable individually. Together they felt like systematic removal. "Your father needs a fresh start," Diane explained once after I asked where Mom's piano went. "Sold apparently. Holding on to too much grief isn't healthy." Grief. Interesting word choice for personal belongings belonging to a dead woman. Dad rarely fought her on anything. Partly because confrontation exhausted him emotionally. Partly because Diane framed every objection as concern for his healing. "Caroline gets upset whenever we change anything," she'd sigh sadly to relatives. "I think she's struggling to accept life moving forward." That became her narrative permanently. Poor Diane trying to build family harmony while bitter grieving daughter sabotaged peace. By college, I visited less frequently because every trip home hurt. Mom's presence faded more each year until the house looked like she'd never lived there. Diane even repainted the kitchen yellow because the old blue felt depressing. My mother picked that blue. Dad noticed my withdrawal eventually. "Why are you always tense around Diane?" he asked once during my junior year. I almost answered honestly. "Because your wife treats your dead spouse like an embarrassing first draft of your life story." Instead, I shrugged because daughters learn quickly fathers rarely choose discomfort over convenient narratives. "We're just different." Diane mastered subtle victimhood professionally. At family gatherings she touched Dad's arm gently while describing how hard blending families had been. "I always wanted a daughter," she'd say sadly whenever I kept conversations polite but distant. Relatives ate it up. Meanwhile, any concern I raised sounded emotionally suspicious automatically because Diane never attacked directly. She implied. Suggested. Performed hurt. When Dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer at 68, everything intensified. Diane controlled medications, appointments, visitors. I lived 3 hours away teaching high school English while trying balancing work with hospital trips. Every visit felt monitored somehow. Your father gets overwhelmed easily now, Diane constantly reminded me whenever conversations became emotional or private. One afternoon while helping Dad organize paperwork during treatment, I noticed Mom's antique jewelry box missing from the bedroom closet. My stomach tightened instantly. "Where's Mom's jewelry?" Diane answered before Dad could. "Oh, most of that old stuff was appraised months ago." "Old stuff? Appraised why?" Diane smiled lightly. "We're simplifying." Dad looked exhausted in his recliner, avoiding eye contact entirely. Warning bells screamed through me immediately. Over the next few months, more things vanished. Mom's wedding china. Photo albums. The grandfather clock inherited from her parents. Each time Diane offered smooth, practical explanations. Your father wanted less clutter. Nobody uses formal china anymore. Storage fees were ridiculous. Finally, during one awful Thanksgiving dinner, I snapped after discovering Mom's portrait removed from the hallway completely. "Did you throw away every trace of her?" Silence crushed the table instantly. Diane's eyes filled with tears on command practically. "I have tried so hard with you." Dad sighed heavily, already disappointed in me somehow. "Caroline, no." Years of resentment exploded upward finally. "Mom lived in this house too." Diane stood slowly, dabbing perfect tears. "I understand grief affects people differently." There it was. Public performance mode. "But accusing me of erasing your mother is deeply unfair." My cousin Melissa immediately jumped in. "Caroline, honestly, you've always been weirdly hostile." Weirdly hostile. As though watching your dead mother disappear piece by piece from family history counted as random moodiness. Dad looked tired. Embarrassed. "Can we not do this today?" That hurt most honestly. Not Diane's manipulation. Dad's constant surrender to it because peace felt easier than truth. I left before dessert. Diane texted afterward, "I know you miss your mother, but punishing me won't bring her back." I blocked her number that night. Dad died 7 months later during early spring. Quietly. Morphine. Rain tapping hospital windows. I held his hand while Diane cried dramatically against his shoulder until nurses asked us leaving afterward. Grief felt complicated. I mourned him genuinely. But underneath lived bitterness too, because cancer stole whatever chance remained for honest conversations between us. The funeral overflowed with business associates, golf friends, church members. Diane performed devastated widow flawlessly in elegant black dresses, accepting casseroles and sympathy hugs. I stood beside her feeling like supporting cast in my own father's goodbye. Then came the eulogy. Diane spent 10 full minutes describing their beautiful partnership before briefly mentioning my mother as Richard's first wife. First wife. 23 years reduced to introductory chapter language. Afterward, several relatives pulled me aside privately. "Be kind to Diane. Your father loved her very much. Don't make inheritance issues emotional." Inheritance. Interesting, they assumed conflict already. 3 weeks later, Dad's attorney called requesting a private meeting downtown. Diane attended too, wearing cream-colored linen and controlled grief expression. The lawyer, Mr. Feldman, handled paperwork quietly for about 30 minutes before sliding an envelope toward me unexpectedly. "Your father instructed this be given directly to Caroline after his passing." Diane frowned immediately. "What's that?" "Private instructions," Feldman replied carefully. Inside sat a storage unit key and handwritten note from Dad. "I'm sorry I waited too long." My pulse started racing instantly. Diane leaned forward sharply. "Richard rented a storage unit?" Feldman adjusted his glasses awkwardly. "For approximately 11 years. 11 years. I looked up slowly. "What's inside?" The lawyer hesitated. "Your father requested Caroline access it first." Diane's entire posture changed. Subtle but immediate. Panic. Tiny. Real. 40 minutes later, I stood outside a climate-controlled storage facility on the edge of town with trembling hands while Diane argued angrily behind me. "This is ridiculous. Richard would never keep secrets from me." But apparently he did. Unit 214 smelled faintly like cedar and dust when the door rolled upward. Then I stopped breathing entirely. My mother existed inside that room. Not literally, of course. But every erased piece of her life surrounded me, stacked carefully in labeled containers. The blue kitchen dishes. Her piano bench. Framed photographs. Quilts. Jewelry boxes. Handwritten recipes. Gardening journals. Entire shelves of memories Diane claimed donated, sold, or lost. I walked inside, slowly touching objects like ghosts. Tears blurred everything instantly. Dad saved it all. Every piece. Diane made a strangled sound behind me. Oh my God. Then I saw the filing cabinet. Inside sat folders labeled meticulously in Dad's handwriting. Appraisals. Bank records. Letters. One folder simply read, Diane. Cold spread through my chest. I opened it carefully. Receipts, auction paperwork, emails. My stepmother hadn't just removed Mom's belongings from the house. She'd been secretly selling valuables for years. Jewelry. Antiques. Artwork. Tens of thousands of dollars routed through private accounts Dad eventually discovered apparently. What is this? Diane whispered weakly. I turned toward her, slowly holding auction documents bearing her signature. You tell me. She actually sat down hard on a storage crate, suddenly pale. Richard knew? Looks like it. More documents revealed the timeline clearly. Dad discovered the sales about 11 years earlier. Massive fight followed based on handwritten notes from his attorney. Diane claimed financial stress. Emotional impulsivity. Whatever excuse fit best probably. Dad stopped her legally, but instead of exposing everything publicly, he rented this unit, secretly protecting remaining belongings while preserving marriage appearances somehow. Then I found the letters. Dozens addressed to me, never sent. Dad's handwriting shakier over time as cancer progressed. I opened one randomly dated 4 years earlier. I should have protected your mother's memory better. I kept choosing peace over confrontation because I was tired. That cowardice cost you trust in me. I started sobbing immediately. Real ugly grief finally escaping after years trapped beneath resentment. Another letter. Diane always believed removing Eleanor helped me heal. I allowed it because part of me wanted escaping grief too. But forgetting someone and surviving someone are different things. Behind me, Diane cried quietly. Not performative this time. Broken. Small. Human. I never meant, she started weakly. I turned sharply. You sold her wedding ring. Diane covered her mouth instantly. Silence confirmed everything. Why? The question exploded out of me, raw and shaking. Why erase her so badly? Diane cried harder, staring at the concrete floor. Because he never stopped loving her. There it was. The real truth underneath 12 years of passive aggression and curated victimhood. Not jealousy from me. Jealousy from her. Every room had Eleanor in it, Diane whispered through tears. Every story. Every tradition. She looked up, finally wrecked by honesty. I felt like a guest in my own marriage. I should have felt satisfaction, maybe. Vindication. Instead, I just felt tired. Because damaged people create damage when insecurity rots long enough unspoken. Dad failed too. Spectacularly. He let Diane rewrite family history because confronting her threatened the stable companionship he needed after grief hollowed him out. Easier sacrificing pieces of the past than risking loneliness again. He knew you blamed me, I said quietly. Diane nodded once. He said you'd hate him too eventually. Another knife. Because maybe Dad understood my anger perfectly all along. He just lacked courage fixing it publicly. The storage unit took weeks sorting through emotionally. Some things I kept. Some donated carefully. Mom's quilts now sit across my living room couch. Her recipe cards stay framed in my kitchen. Tiny reclaimed territories of memory. Diane moved to Florida 6 months later after Dad's estate settled. We barely speak. But before leaving, she mailed me one final envelope containing Mom's wedding ring and short handwritten note. I'm sorry I treated her memory like competition instead of history. No excuses. Just that. Sometimes I think about how families rewrite emotional truths through repetition until everyone forgets the original story entirely. For 12 years, I played jealous, grieving daughter while Diane played misunderstood stepmother trying her best. Cleaner narrative. easier for dinner parties and church conversations. But reality lived inside a locked storage unit where my father hid every piece of unresolved guilt he couldn't confront openly while alive. The saddest part is this: I would have accepted Diane eventually if she'd allowed my mother remaining visible too. Love after loss doesn't require erasure. But insecure people often confuse being chosen with needing everyone else forgotten first.